And welcome back, everybody, to Shmoo Talk. I am one of your hosts, Taylor Blank, with the other host, John Cantu. Like I said, we want to welcome everybody back. Before we get started here, we want to give a quick shout-out to all of our sponsors. First sponsor is Showcase Sedalia that we got on the wall. We want to thank Steve for Showcase Sedalia. Like I say, it's an advertising magazine that brings shoppers to local businesses. Does an amazing job, in the Sedalia, Namnostra area. Like I say, reaches over 14,000 families. If you have any questions on that, give Steve a call at 816-448-1474. And once again, that is Steve at Showcase Sedalia, 816-448-1474.
Big shout out today to Foreverton Gaming. Go there for all your card shop needs, including Pokemon, Digimon, Magic, boxes, and dice. We like to thank them for sponsoring us. Again, go see Bob and Amy. If you need to get a hold of them, call 660-851-2201.
And one final thank you to Brian at GNC Sedalia and Osage Beach. Like I say, come see us for all of your health and sport-related supplements, vitamins, herbs, drinks, snacks. We got it all. Like I say, if you want to, come see me and John up here at the Sedalia store, 660-826-7003. All right, and on that, we're going to go ahead and get this rolling here. Now, like I say, people, this is actually a phenomenal guest. We are so happy to have you. We want to introduce everybody to Aliana Sherbina. Hey, all right. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Good.
Doing
Thanks
good?
for having me, guys.
Oh, you're very welcome. Is this your first podcast?
It is.
I love asking people that.
It is.
It's one of those where we kind of say it every time. It's like the first 5 minutes are always the awkward minutes, because you're trying to get comfortable. You're trying to get all right, what's going on here? Trying to get the vibe. And, and it's one of those where even though we say that to everybody, it's for us too. We have to get through the first 5 minutes as well. You know what I mean?
Got to find that
we'll
groove.
do it together.
Exactly. It's teamwork makes the dream work, by golly. So, but yeah. So we're just going to kind of go ahead and get started here. Now, where are you from originally?
Well, I was born and raised in Colorado.
In Colorado? What part of Colorado?
Denver, Colorado.
Oh, wow.
So,
nice.
Yeah, I was born Denver, Colorado. Lived part of my childhood in Denver, in the city. And then for a large part of my childhood, I moved to Strasburg, Colorado, which is on the outskirts of Denver in the country.
I gotcha.
So it's actually really similar to Nelson and Sedalia, where I grew up, like in Strasburg. So I feel like I kind of know both worlds pretty well, city life and country life.
Right.
So it's been pretty neat. But yeah, moved here 4 years ago. My husband is from Sedalia, I like to say. And he came to Colorado, and there was a group of us that went hiking in the Rocky Mountains, and we met on that hike, and then, started talking, whatever,
What a love story.
Yeah.
Met on a hike on a mountain in Colorado. It's like, oh,
I
yeah,
know.
That's like a fairy tale. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we met there, started talking, and then we got married shortly after, and then I'm a registered nurse. And my husband has a business here, so I was the one that was going to be moving.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, do you still have family in Colorado?
I do not. They recently all just moved out.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So
Gotcha.
I had my parents move to Sedalia as well.
Oh, so everybody's
Yeah.
here. Oh,
They
nice.
all followed me.
All part of the
Oh,
community.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, and it's
Yeah.
also nice, I'm sure, for the support and everything
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
You can kind of lean on everybody. It makes it nice,
for
you
sure.
know?
For sure. It's amazing to have family around. A few siblings. I'm from a big family of 11 kids. Yeah. So,
11?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Not all of
Nice.
them are here.
But
Where are you at
But-
in that
Are you-
mix? Are you like the oldest, youngest,
Middle child.
middle
Oh,
child?
the
Yeah.
forgotten.
The
Oh,
forgotten
the forgotten middle
middle
child. Oh, goodness.
But
Out of
I'm-
11.
Yeah,
But I'm
yeah.
sure
Nice.
that like a lot of people don't know this, but like when we invited you, we said, "Hey, bring somebody along, comfortability, all that stuff." And it's like that. You also have some kids, and I'm sure your parents wanted to be around for the grandkids.
Yep. Yeah, it was nice. We actually did have a chance to visit often when I lived out here without them for a while. But I mean, it's different when you're living in the state. You know what I mean? You can see each other more casually, more often on the weekends and stuff. So I really appreciate having them here. But I know what it's like not to have them around.
Mm.
So now I
Right.
have a different level of appreciation. I'm like, you know what? I'm so grateful that you guys are here. Maybe I wouldn't have been able to say that, if I didn't have that time apart for a while.
Right.
But yeah, we're all here now.
Makes it handy to have a babysitter every now and then, too, I'm
Yep.
sure. Right. Exactly. Well, that's awesome. So everybody's here now.
Yep.
And now, how old are your kids?
My oldest, Leonidas, he is 2.5. He's going to be 3 in April.
I love the name.
Wait, his
I
name
love
is
it.
Leonidas?
Yeah.
Let's bring it
That
back.
is the coolest name.
He'll appreciate that so
Ever.
much when he's
Oh.
older.
Oh, he
I
will
know, I'm
thank
trying
you.
to set him up, like,
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's a winner already.
You
That
did.
is awesome. All right. What's
Yeah.
the other one?
And then the second one is Arkady.
Ooh.
Yeah.
See, I like that.
Yeah.
Unique names.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love those names forever. So I was like, yes, I have 2 boys, check mark, use my names right away. But Arkady is 7 months old. Yeah, and Leonidas is 2.5. So I got 2 babies.
Hey, that's
Yeah.
awesome. But it's
Yeah.
also really nice having them that close together as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's... I know, like, talking to a lot of siblings that have, like close age like that is always kind of better because
Yeah.
they can kind of lean on each other.
Yeah,
You know,
especially
going
if it's
through a
like the
lot.
same gender.
Right.
Or like 2 boys or like 2 girls. I mean, the opposite is cool too. It's awesome to have someone, even if it's a boy or girl, but 2 boys together. I mean, on a farm, out in the country.
I'm gonna tell you right
Like,
now.
Well, yeah.
Having the
These
boy
kids-
first, like if I was to have a boy and a girl, I'd want the boy first, just for that.
Mhm.
Like, oh, big brother's
Yeah,
watching.
take care of her.
Yeah,
watch out.
Watch out. Exactly. That is awesome.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your coffee shop and eatery. Let's hear about this. This is one of the reasons we're having you on. Yeah, tell us all about it.
Yeah. So, like we were kind of talking, I moved here from Colorado about 4 years ago, and then when we got married, Alexei moved from Sedalia with me to Nelson.
Mhm.
So Nelson is like before Boonville and like after Marshall.
Mhm.
So it's that exit in between, exit 84. And we've been taking that exit ever since we got married every day, kind of driving past that gas station. There's Stucky's, and the building where Cooper's is at right now. We drive past there all the time. And in 2020, so when COVID hit, that previous business went out of it. Like they closed their doors, and they put up the building for sale. And we were kind of driving past. We're like, oh, it's for sale. Like should we like look into it or whatever? We're like, oh no, we have our hands full already. Because
I mean, did you have an idea already? Like as soon as you saw that the building was for sale, was you kind of like, I'm gonna do something, or like did you have the idea in your mind?
my husband did.
Oh,
He's a very ambitious guy.
Mm-hmm.
He has a business that he runs right now and whatnot, and he's always looking for new avenues, new opportunities and stuff. So he had the idea right away. He's like, maybe I can do this, maybe I can do that. He's like, oh, maybe I'm gonna do a tire shop there. I'm like, well, if it's tire shop, I'm gonna have nothing to do with it because it'll be really hard to convince myself to care.
Right, exactly. I get it.
That's how it is. And then, but then, it was for sale for a while, so we kind of had some time to think about it even. And I was like, you know what? Maybe if we did like a kind of quick grab and go situation there for food or drink, that might be kind of a good idea. A lot of travelers go through there and stuff, and I-70 is like the busiest
Oh yeah.
interstate in America. So like business wise, you're kind of like,
Oh, I mean, makes perfect sense.
yeah,
you
kind
know?
of a good opportunity, you
Right.
know? And then, coffee, is pretty,
Mhm.
So like, you could do like a convenience store or something like that, but it's nice if you can find something that interests you or like makes you like excited to go to work and things like that. So coffee kind of does that. Like, once I started looking into it, coffee is kind of almost like an art
It
form.
definitely is an art form
You know
for
what I mean?
sure. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, we could do, I could do a coffee shop and stuff like that. And so we kind of went forward, contacted the owner and everything, and we gave him an offer, and he accepted. So we're like, all right, I guess we're doing it.
Mhm.
Started, tearing it down and remodeling slowly and everything, and we're like, well, that's big.
Right. Yeah.
A coffee shop, you don't need much space. You're like, you need like a little room, bar, whatever. But I have a little more space than that. So I was like, I'm gonna do food. So I'm gonna do like.
I was getting ready to ask. I'm like, where did the food idea come in? Like,
Yeah.
of course, you see that in a lot of coffee shops. Like, they're going to have their drinks, and things like
Yeah,
that. And they'll
yeah.
always have something that you can kind of snack on, whether it's a light sandwich, cookies, something like that,
Pastries or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, so basically, because you had the room, it's
Yep.
one of those where you're like, let's just do that too.
Yeah, and my husband and I, we travel a lot ourselves. We're always on road trips and stuff, and we have like it's just kind of who we are. We have a really big passion for eating well, like good quality food. Um, so it's really tough when we're on road trips to find a good quality place to eat, but quickly, where it's convenient. You don't have to drive off like half an hour off of your route.
Mhm.
You can drive and get off your route and find something eventually, but things that are like right off the highway, quick kind of grab and go, but also like wholesome, are almost like impossible to find,
Mhm.
especially in the Midwest. You know, I feel like maybe East Coast, West Coast, and then Denver was pretty good too about it. There's a lot of good food available pretty much everywhere.
Well, that's
it's
what
really
actually
saturated with that.
it kind of sparked my interest, like when I first started looking at your page, because I was like, well, for one, I mean, the drinks, everything was, look amazing, sound amazing. I'm like, wow.
What's the new peach one?
Yeah.
I saw that.
Is it like peach and
honey?
Peach honey.
Oh.
Yeah, with local honey.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all clean, organic.
No, that's the whole thing, and that's what I wanted to touch on, because that's the
Yeah.
interesting part of all of this that I myself really love, is because you advertise local and then farm to table.
Yeah.
That to me, of course, in today's world, because food is so bad,
Yeah.
it's one of those where it's like I love seeing that.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, more than not, everybody wants to see that too.
Yeah.
Now, is everything local?
No, not everything.
Okay.
I was not able to do that from the start. This is the first business I've ran, and kind of my first experience in the food industry and whatnot. So I wasn't able. That's my goal. I want to get to where my menu and everything I serve can maybe one day I can get it to be 100% local and
Mhm.
organic. But it's actually a lot more challenging than I even thought.
Oh yeah.
Because you have to find the right people. You have to strike a deal with them. You have to make sure that they have the certifications necessary.
And that's a big part.
Yeah.
That is a big part. You can't just
Yeah.
go. Unfortunately, you can't just go to the backdoor farmer. Just say, "Hey, can I get these
Yeah.
eggs, or can I get?"
Exactly. Because
Yeah.
everything's got to be regulated and stuff
Yeah,
nowadays,
yeah.
and especially with food. And the food market is so out of control
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
As far as pricing, you see that everywhere. Have you? I know everything is still fairly fresh. You started your business January 6th,
Yep.
so
yep.
it's still kind of
Yeah.
brand new. It's like a little baby
Yeah.
already,
Yeah.
But it's
But-
probably the same thing. You're probably seeing it grow fast, though.
Yeah. I'm really proud of what how far we've come in such a short period of time, and it makes me feel a lot more confident for our future too. I'm so thankful and grateful that we were able to stay strong up until this point, and now I know we can keep going. We can do it. We can do this. I work pretty closely with my health inspector. He's really cool. The saline health inspector. He's an awesome guy. So whenever I have those questions come up about local foods or things like that, I
Right.
always call him up and get advice from him, and he tells me all the technical points
Like
I
the
need to hit.
necessary steps to
Yeah,
take.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm slowly meeting a lot of the locals around there. People are starting to tell me, "Hey, I have sheep. Are you looking to do any dishes from lamb or
Right.
whatever? And they're bringing me samples. So
Because see, there is a farm to table kind of deal
Yeah.
in Boonville, that is very popular even around here.
yeah.
So
yeah.
that's what I was kind of curious on
Yeah.
too. I was like,
People
all
are
right.
looking for that more.
They
You
are,
know?
yeah.
I feel like the demand, the demand and the desire for that is there. It's just that businesses and whatnot are not catching on to that, and they think everybody still wants the fast processed food.
Right.
Where it's it's sometimes we all have that. Some fast food or whatever, but these days I think especially our generation, maybe the younger generations. I
Well,
feel
is-
the push is more for cleaner, more wholesome,
Well, when you have
Oh,
kids
yeah.
more
too,
local.
to me, it's when you have kids, it makes a difference
Yeah,
because you don't
yeah.
want to see your kid be unhealthy. You thrive for them to want to be better,
Yep.
and you think about maybe mistakes you made as growing up, or your parents may
Yeah,
have been like,
yeah.
oh, here's a little sugar, and you're like, I want to do better. I want to provide them something and an understanding of healthy habits.
Yep.
And for anybody that doesn't know, I don't even know if we actually said the name of your business. I might have missed it, but it's Cooper's Coffee and Eatery.
Yep.
Okay, yes.
Cooper's Coffee plus Eatery.
Yeah.
Plus Eatery.
By
Yes,
golly.
I
There it
like
is.
it. Yeah,
That's right,
so if
that's
anybody
right.
wants to see that, we'll definitely leave a link in
Mm-hmm.
the video. It'll be at the bottom, and we're also going to tell you that she has an Instagram. We'll leave that in there too.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, for sure. Like say, we'll leave everything that way everybody can reach you and stuff like that.
When you when you started, okay, you knew you're going to do coffee, and then we go, okay, we're going to do the food too.
Yeah.
What was the challenge? Was it like figuring out the coffee recipes? Was it
Oh my God, you have no idea.
Well, that's what I want to know. Is it like, was that the hardest part? Were you just in the kitchen for like 12 hours
Oh
but
my
before you
God.
opened, going, okay, let's try again, and
Oh.
just drinking as much of it so you didn't waste it, and then
Well, that
cracked
was-
out of your mind on
And
caffeine?
you know what the crazy part is?
Yeah.
Is I was pregnant. So I can't even
Oh,
have
you
coffee.
couldn't even have it.
Yeah, so all I would do is taste it and spit it out.
Oh wow.
You know?
Did you rely
For the
on your husband a
majority.
lot for that?
He
As a
thinks-
taste
he
tester,
thinks
like-
everything is good, you know?
Oh, he thinks everything's good. Oh.
Yeah. Now he's become a lot more bougie.
Oh.
Now he's like,
Now he's like,
you know?
I don't think this is
Yeah.
quite good enough.
Yeah.
Now try again.
Yeah.
That's
but in the
awesome.
beginning, I like whatever I do, I cannot do it like in a halfway or like half-heartedly or something.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I feel like almost everywhere in my life, I try to do my absolute best, you know? So I'm like, man, if I do coffee, if I'm going to be serving coffee, like, it has to be good. Like, yeah, I'm not a coffee expert yet or anything like that. I had very little experience going into coffee. Like, I was just a home Keurig girl, you know?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
my dad would make me a cup of Keurig. I'm like, oh, awesome, like,
Mhm.
get my little caffeine or whatever, and then sometimes like there was coffee shops in Denver where I'm like, oh, I know this coffee is better, but I have no idea why, and then so I didn't know much about coffee at all, but I started doing research and I found out there's conferences, like there's coffee conferences that happen. There's several, but there's this one big one called Specialty Coffee Association, and they host it once a year, and they had it in Boston, Massachusetts,
Mhm.
last year, and it was like they weren't sure if they were gonna do it or not for COVID and stuff, but then they decided to do it, and I was like, I need to go because I need to figure out what makes coffee good, like just talk to people, like kind of get more knowledge and stuff. So I went there. It was a 3-day thing. I had my baby babysat. I was 7 months pregnant, so it was kind of crazy, but I was like, this is what I gotta do,
Mhm.
So I learned so much there. I mean, they have like world championship baristas there, and it's like the
yeah.
best there.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to ask. I'm like,
Yeah.
when you kind of started this venture, it's like, did you realize how big that world was? Overwhelming, isn't
Yeah.
it?
There
I
was-
didn't even realize until I was kind of searching your stuff, and I'm like, I just wonder, because that's why I asked you earlier. I'm like about the barista,
Yeah.
thing, and I got to thinking on that, and I was like, it's amazing how massive that world is,
Yeah.
just in the coffee.
It's a
world.
billion-dollar industry. Did you
It-
know
oh.
that out of everything in the world that gets bought and sold, coffee is number one?
I believe it.
Yeah.
I
Hey.
do
Coffee
believe
is
it.
the number one thing that is traded
That's right.
or exported and imported
Well, I
in the
think
world, more than oil, more than anything. Grain.
Oh well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's one of those where it's like, and you see it, and I'm one of those people too. It's like, I want my coffee,
Yeah.
I don't
and
have
all around
it.
the world, You go to Argentina, they drink coffee.
I
You go to
think-
Italy, they drink coffee.
and it's all day,
Australia,
but it's all
coffee.
day. That's
Yeah.
because here it's like
Turkey.
a morning thing. I mean,
Yep,
sometimes you might grab like a frappuccino or something at night. Just
Yeah,
something
yeah.
sweet. But
I
it's
mean,
like,
the 3 oldest things are tea, coffee, tobacco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are it.
Yeah.
It's like you
Yeah.
can look anywhere in history, and there's either pictures or mention
Yeah.
of those 3 things.
Yeah.
So it's always had a business.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a huge world, and there's a lot to it. But that's kind of where I started to narrow down my coffee part of my business. I met so many awesome people there. They gave me really good advice. They have awesome workshops where they tell you about how to do a business. It was super. It's like a master class. weekend.
Mhm.
But that was like one of my biggest kickstarts to the whole coffee tech.
Which is-
Willingness to learn. That's what that is.
Yep.
I mean, that's what I'm hearing is like I had the willingness to learn.
Yeah, I'm like, I know nothing.
Right.
I acknowledge this.
Mhm.
What am I gonna do about it?
Right. Well, and I think that you
So-
did the right thing because I mean, you're going to the people that do it. You're
Yeah.
going to where all of the answers
The
are right
source.
there. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
going to the
Yeah.
source, and that's what makes it good,
Yep.
because it's
Yep.
kind of one of those where you can take a little bit from everywhere. Because I know a lot of people that start businesses and things like that too. A lot of them started from a bad experience that they've had,
Uh-huh.
and they think about, I'm going to make this business to where it doesn't do what that business did because that made me mad. I want this to be more efficient. I want it to be, just something different. So
Yeah.
I don't, for me, it's like, I could see that even more for myself. Like if I was to do it, it's like I would
Yeah.
look at things that I don't like versus more like trying to follow.
Yeah.
You know,
Someone really wise once told me, he's like, when you're trying to do something like extraordinary, never look at like other people who've done it, but look at like other industries, like just because you've never done it before doesn't mean that you can't do it. Sometimes the people who've never done it before will end up doing it better
Mhm.
because they weren't taught those like maybe bad habits or
exactly.
or
yeah.
like the bad methods where they're like, no, I know this is the way to do it. Like that's it. It's sometimes the people with like who are an open book, where they end up revolutionizing industry or like a certain sector of business. Something like that. A lot of times it's people who had zero experience, and they just came in with an open mind and like a willingness to learn or whatever, and they end up like acing it. They end up doing awesome.
We just watched.
So that was really motivational. for
We
me.
actually just watched the movie Founder. I
Founder.
don't know if you've ever seen it.
It's a McDonald's.
It's about
Oh.
how
About
it
how
got
it started.
Oh.
It is on Netflix right
Mhm.
now.
I
Now,
think I saw a commercial for it.
that being said,
It's
maybe
amazing,
not
by the way. Amazing.
maybe not the best overall ending per se.
We all know how it ends.
Yeah, but
we
that
know
being
we know
said,
what McDonald's is.
it's a lot of what you just said. It was about somebody that had the ambition to see something and go, I've never done this, but I like what's there. I see
Yeah.
the blueprint, I see the layout, and he's like, let me have a crack. Let me go. Let me try this out.
Yeah.
What was it like? Okay, so pregnant, you have your kid, coffee shop's open. Now you're going to deal with your hiring a staff and then your first rush. So now you've got to. Did you find people already qualified in coffee making? Did you poach some people, or was it one of those where you're like, I got to teach them the way I want it done, and then on top of that, now I got my first rush. Maybe the baby's crying. Like, what was that like? First experience of maybe overwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah. It was unique. So like I had the only experience I had was I'm a nurse. So I'm a registered nurse, and I was a charge nurse for a time period too, and I worked in trauma. So we would learn new things every single day. Like you had no idea what was coming at you, but you had to figure it out. You had to figure it out
Yeah.
fast.
Yep.
And I did that for 4 years. So I feel like my brain almost changed in those
Mhm.
4 years. And so I'm gonna have to credit my nursing career, probably like all my abilities in business. Some people are like, oh, it's kind of a shame that you did nursing. It's kind of a waste. I'm like, honestly, I wouldn't have been able to do any of this. But hiring staff and everything, I gave an opportunity to the locals first when I opened up like my application online, and then I also I drove around, hung up flyers everywhere. I went to like Marshall, like the college there, hung up flyers everywhere, and then I went to Boonville, Pilot Grove, Arrow Rock, all those little towns around us, Blackwater, just kind of handing it out, meeting, and at the same time meeting all the people around that area. And I told them, I was like, I want to give all the locals a chance first, because I grew up in the country, and I remember I was so desperate when I was growing up for a job. You're just like, man, I just want to make like $10.
Exactly,
just
yeah.
like, I just want to buy my own ice cream, or I don't know,
Little
and I feel
gas
like,
money or
yeah.
something. Just let
Yeah.
me.
I feel like that's like every country kid,
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm like, man, it's so cool. I have opportunity maybe to like, give these country kids a chance for that. So for like a month or so, I like just opened it up to locals, got quite a bit of applications actually, and like really cool kids. I feel like the best employees are like those hardworking kids. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they're honest. They're like dependable. They're like
Usually good moral values.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
they're like
Respectful.
awesome people, like polite. So I was really happy. I found some awesome people like that. And then I opened it up a little broader, and we hired a few Ukrainian refugees. So like people who just came
nice.
from Ukraine, they
Okay.
needed
Yeah.
a little
Oh,
bit
well,
of
that's
support.
nice.
Yeah. So I hired a couple of those girls, and then I think, and then I have one girl from March. So she was my only experienced barista. Everybody else I taught from scratch. And I had this thought. I was like, if I can learn it from scratch, I can teach it. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
there's like any of these people can learn too. Like I'll just break it down for them into like their language, like the way that they can understand it. And I'm telling you, these kids, or like even like these are older girls too, like my age or whatever, they learn like what took me maybe 8 months to learn. They were doing in like 4 weeks. I was like almost mad. I was like, this is so.
Well, that's two things.
That
One,
shows that you're a good teacher.
That's a good teacher.
Yeah.
And it's adaptability, but that
I
shows
was
that you're a
like,
good
what?
teacher.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I'm telling you, they were like pulling latte art like the third day. That took me like 6 months. I
Now-
was like, you guys are amazing.
Well, to be
wow.
fair, like when I first did an edit for doing this, I mean, I was pounding my head on the wall. I'm hating my life. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. And then after I figure it out, I kind of like, hey, Taylor. I was
Yeah.
like, check this out. And he's like, I don't know, man. It's going to be hard. And like, how long did it take you?
Oh.
Like 4 minutes?
Yeah. Exactly.
Afterwards. And he's just like, that's it? I'm like, yeah, that
Yeah,
took
it's-
me like 10 hours. Don't worry.
It's like a day's worth of work,
Yeah.
and then we finally got it
Yeah.
consolidated down to where it's like, oh, it's 4 minutes now. It's
Yeah.
like, wait, what? It was wild.
And I'm just sitting there like, I'm happy, but at the same time, I'm like,
Oh
I
yeah,
know, right?
yeah, exactly.
I know. I'm like, Eliana, don't get mad. Like, this is good. Like, you want. I'm like, this stuff took me forever.
Right? Yeah.
So, but I'm really proud. I had and I was just excited that like, they were catching on so fast and stuff. So,
Well, and that's the thing
blessing,
because you're
yeah.
only as good as your team. I
yeah,
mean,
exactly.
you know-
If you're not there and they can't do it, I mean, what do you have? Like, you don't have a good setup.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So,
I mean, it's like that
yeah.
old cliche saying, teamwork makes a dream work, and it's like,
Yep.
but it is so true because
Yep.
it takes everybody.
yeah,
if
because
you-
you can't be there all the time.
No,
You know?
it's like you could have one bad link in that chain and ruin the whole thing.
Yep.
And it can happen that quickly. Now, like backing up just a little bit, and we'll get back for sure. But I have just one question because he brought up the movie that we watched, the founder about McDonald's and stuff. Well, their big thing, of course, back then when they were starting it was time, being efficient, things like that.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
way, everybody had a role and nobody would bump into one another. Nobody was running over each other. It was smooth. It was
Yeah.
like an orchestra. I mean, everything had its own part to play. Now, when you were designing this, did you look at other coffee shops, like as far as like in the barista aspect in the back, to be like, where do I need to place things? How do they need to be placed so that we can do this efficiently and we're not running into each other every other drink?
I'm finally gonna get some credit.
There you go.
Yeah.
We want to hear it. Yeah.
Eric, put yourself out there. You're like, wow, yeah, great
It's like-
question,
it's like,
right?
I did this.
I'm so glad you asked.
Oh, I've been waiting to ask it. I was like, wait a minute. I'm going to ask this. I'm going to ask it. I was like, trying not to forget it. But yes.
Yeah, you should have seen how fried my brains were when we were doing all this, because we stripped down the entire building
Right.
size, and like it was like we had the rooms laid out, but besides that, we took everything down, besides like the walls were like the office. So we're like, okay, where's the counter gonna be? What's the flow? All this and that. So it was a lot of just like standing there and just like envisioning things in your head.
Now, did you
I'm a
design it
customer.
yourself, though?
Yeah.
So
Well,
you-
Oh,
for the
wow.
most part.
I mean, did you bring in an interior designer to help at all? Or?
I looked into that,
Right.
and I'm like, I don't like not like I like to get my money's like my value for my money, and like it's a big risk to take to completely trust a designer.
Mhm.
Exactly, yeah.
Because not all what I mean. Like not everybody really knows.
They have to follow your vision.
Yeah,
That's
you know
not
what I
always
mean?
going to be to teach.
Yeah,
You
Mhm.
need it. You
Like-
need it to be.
yeah.
Perfect.
Sometimes you kind of have to believe in yourself, but like something too, because because sometimes like you kind of know more than you know.
Oh,
You
for
know, you
sure.
know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
exactly.
there, it's so I didn't want to like I looked into it first of all. They're like crazy expensive to hire these. Like I got a few bids. And I was like, oh,
Mhm.
no thanks, So it was just a lot of standing there, envisioning. Like I'd be like, I'm a customer, you know. I
Mhm.
want my coffee, whatever. I'm a traveler. I want food or whatever. What's the flow that is like natural to follow? In nursing, I always have to anticipate things too. Like we had, patients who had very traumatic accidents or something, and we had to, before we get them out of bed, I had to plan out the entire path that we would walk them or whatever. So I had to like set things up,
Make sure things aren't in the
yeah,
way.
if they
Yeah.
get tired, like I have to make sure there's a chair in that area where they can sit. You know what I mean? So I have experience like planning like ahead kind of for like flow wise. So I kind of applied that there too. I'm like, this is a good flow. You can walk them through the door, counter right there, order. You kind of circle back around. They can circle into the dining room or just curl back around and grab and go or whatever.
Mhm.
So it was a lot of things like that. I had a really amazing contractor that we found, and I mean he's built the embassy in South Africa. He
Oh, wow.
built the 5-star Hyatt hotel in Denver, Colorado. He worked on the CIA, Denver International Airport.
Mhm.
He's got like commercial experience. But he would give me commercial advice, like electrical wise and like
Just getting
things
ready
like
to
that.
say, because that is a huge part, especially in
Yeah.
something like that. Because I even saw like with your post, like you need to come in, get a charge for yourself, but also for that, it's like, well, I could see because a lot of people work from home nowadays,
Yeah.
especially from COVID, because a lot of businesses did that. They're like, oh, well, this person can do this same job from their home.
Yeah.
We don't need to have the brick and mortar to support it.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of people that will go to a coffee shop and thing. I mean, you see it all the time. I mean, that's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that kind of a wild factor when you were like, how much electricity and how many plugins you were going to have to support this thing?
Yeah, well, I knew it would be fine 'cause we have a commercial building, so I knew we'd have to rig it into like tailor it to ourselves, which is where the guy came in really handy. 'Cause I'm like, hey, I'm gonna have an espresso machine. This is the kind that I'm looking at. Like this is my model. Can you look at the spec and see if this is okay? Or he'd be like, no, you need 2-phase versus 3-phase or whatever.
Exactly, yeah.
So then I'd be like, okay, this narrows down like what machines I can pick from, whatever. So a lot of my equipment choices, I would like run the spec past him, and he'd be like, no, this building has this, kind of wiring or whatever. So these are out. And I'd be like, okay, I'll decide on that.
Now, was
So that was kind of how we did the whole like back and forth. Together.
was the building a restaurant before?
No,
Ooh, all
you don't know
right.
what you don't know what it was before.
I don't. I don't.
Oh, yeah, it was called the Lion's Den.
Oh, I know exactly what that was. I actually had forgotten all about that. That is hilarious.
Yep, it's kind of a
Yeah.
unique
Oh, yeah.
flip that we did.
Uh-huh. Wow.
Who knows what that means?
Uh-huh. Yeah. No, locals will know. I had forgot all about
Everybody
that.
knew who it
That
was.
is so funny that you
There's still
said.
a few billboards up.
I'm
Yeah,
sure.
so we're like
Oh.
working on trying to get those down.
Oh, that is hilarious. That is.
People are
Somebody
like-
walks in and goes,
Yeah,
this ain't right.
we had that a few times when we were remodeling.
I could only
We're
imagine.
like, hello, sir.
Hmm.
But you can get some coffee.
Yeah, it's one of them where it's like, I'm sure they're just like a trucker like driving through. They're like, I know exactly where I'm going to stop. And then they get there, they're like, wait a minute. What is this?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
When we were building, people were like, is that going to be a marijuana shop? We're like, yeah, from one thing to the other.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
it's
Yeah,
just-
They
one extreme
agree.
to
We'll just keep it
another.
in the same genre
Right.
of morality.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, when you did, you made your layout, you got your flow,
Yeah.
you're figuring it all out. And my favorite question I like to ask new business owners, what was that hidden expense? What was the shock? I love asking that because I think that there's a lot of people out there that sit there and they want to take the plunge, but they might not know like what's going to hit them in the face
I see.
or the risk that maybe you didn't know that you were going to have to take financially at some
Mhm.
point. What was that big cost item or items or what was that?
Well, the biggest cost was obviously the real estate,
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely like, the largest one. I think
We want the surprise ones though.
yeah.
It's like we all know the brick and mortar is always like the
But
main expense, but it's
Yeah,
one of those.
yeah.
It's the thing you didn't think about that all of a sudden you're like, oh, I gotta have that.
You're like, what?
But
What?
kudos to you for the real estate. Like if you bought the real estate there, kudos to you. I mean,
That's
Who
good.
does what?
did you buy the real estate of the build?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
To
kudos.
say you own the
That's
land.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
very-
God. Like that's a huge
That's
thing.
a very important thing today.
Yeah.
You don't have somebody with, we'd say, control.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
why we are like pouring our heart and soul into it. You know.
Yeah.
It's hard. You know. So we that's like we're like, oh yeah, let's go all in. You know, let's make it the way we would, like the way we want. You know. I don't know. The biggest surprise. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
what I'm looking for. For me, I think one of the biggest ones, like, I mean, I'm thinking more recently, I guess, is like the advertising part of it all, where you're just kind of like, that feels a little bit overpriced.
Oh yeah. That's a
You
good
know,
point.
you're just kind of like, wow, on some things. But then, you know, I kind of knew that from other business owners. They always kind of put a little emphasis on that advertising cost. You know, they expect. I think that surprised me a lot. And then, but I think maybe like construction wise and stuff like that. Yeah, concrete is crazy.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Don't remind me. That part is crazy, and yeah, and you know what else is? I haven't done this yet, but like goods, like for restaurants.
Yep.
Like the
Exalt like the.
yeah, in the
Mhm.
kitchen.
Exactly.
Crazy.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
I haven't done that yet. I've been able to kind of like my menu and everything, where I don't need that yet.
Mhm.
But in the future, I'm looking into it and stuff. I'm like, okay,
Now, as far as like
wow.
your like the actual food menu that you have, is there like do you have to cook a
Yeah.
lot of it or
Yeah, it's all freshly made.
okay?
We freshly prepare everything. So we have our cooks come in a little bit earlier, and every morning they prep everything. So we get by with like minimal equipment. You know, first of all, like I wanted it for safety, minimal equipment, but also for efficiency. You know, and kind of keep it like streamlined, I guess
Mhm.
you could say.
Yeah.
You know, so what I designed my menu based off of my equipment. You know, I was like, okay, what equipment am I going to use, and what am I willing to invest in or whatever. Okay, this is what I have. Okay, now what can I make with that? You know,
Right.
or
Exactly.
whatever. So that's kind of how like my process. Like I did my research about equipment, blah blah blah, and I'm like, okay, now let's look at some menu options.
Have you had to
That was
change it much since you started?
No, I haven't.
Oh, nice. That's even better.
That was one of the most like amazing things for me. I was ready to like I have to flip everything, you know,
Right, yeah.
After opening, but people really loved it. Yeah,
Awesome.
people really loved the recipes and how it tasted and portions, everything. I was like I was getting really good feedback about it, you know, and I was like, I'm gonna leave it for now.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's awesome. I mean, because it is one
Yeah.
of those where it's like you need the feedback.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, we tell everybody
Yeah.
all the time. It's like we
Yep.
need feedback.
Tell
It's
us
like
what you like
yeah.
and tell us what
Yeah.
you don't
yes,
like.
it's like good and bad.
It's like we can't fix it if we don't know.
Yep. Exactly.
exactly
Yeah. In my business, customer is king. You know.
Mhm.
right.
I'm like everything's surrounded around my customer, like what they want, what they're looking for, what they like, what they don't like. Like I'll do anything. You know?
Right.
So yeah,
Now-
that's the biggest thing.
Well, I tell you another thing too that I was wondering how big of a deal this was, but the drive-through.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you know you want one. You know, it's convenient, it's
Yeah.
fast, and things like that. How much of a challenge has that been, though?
Ugh.
Exactly. Because I'm like, oh, it's like you cut a hole in that wall and you start serving them out that window. Things change.
yeah. That keeps it fun because you're like doing your thing. You're like, then you hear the thing and you're
Uh-huh.
like, what? Okay, everybody get in their positions. you
Right.
know? It's fun actually. Like it's kind of cool, you know. But it's a whole different part of your business. Like
Oh
it's
my
like
goodness.
you know you have your flow inside and everything. But then that drive through, it's like a curveball. You know, you're like,
Do they ever like just I mean, what? All right, what is probably like the wildest order like that you could think of? It's like, do they get like crazy with it?
Oh, well, I think the funniest thing we've had was someone ordered a sandwich without almost any of the sandwich, and they pretty much just ended up ordering like the chicken.
Right.
They're like, can you give us a chicken sandwich, but without the bread, without the other like the arugula, without the cheese, without the all this and that. We're like,
you just want to
so
right
Chicken.
yeah, and that's
just
what they
want chicken?
wanted. They just wanted the chicken. I was like, well, okay, whatever you want,
Right.
Did you ever get an order that was
It
just
was
like,
really interesting. I was like, okay.
did they go like, oh, we need like 10 coffees? Did you ever get something like that?
Yeah, we've had people who will come in and they'll get like four. There's like a nursing home not far from us.
Oh,
So
cool.
the girls
Okay.
will come in, they'll be like, everybody wants coffee.
Right.
And we're like, okay, let us know what you need. And like, we'll just load it up for them. And they're like, okay. We're like,
Well, that's
keep us
always
busy.
that's always one thing that's fascinated me because I mean, when you think of it, and me, I'm as like vanilla as they come. I'm a black coffee guy. I'm simple. It's easy.
Yeah.
Every now and then I'll get like an iced coffee with a little bit of like soy milk, splash soy milk, something like that, just for something different.
Yeah.
You
Like
know,
a
nothing
nice
crazy.
little pumpkin spice.
Yeah.
See, I can't do the spice, but
Maybe
it's
a
one of
little
those.
vanilla drizzle.
I know, right? Sounds good though. But what's always interested me or fascinated me, honestly, is how many different variations there are just to coffee.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking. It's like
So-
about the crazy orders because it's like, oh,
Yeah.
give me a pump of this and pump of that
Yeah.
and non-fat this and that and not that. It's like,
Yeah, no. it can
what
get
is this
insane,
when
you
it's
know?
done? It's like, is this coffee or is this syrup now?
Is it 8 shots of espresso?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I'll take it. I don't know.
You have to figure out your base, right? So you
Mhm.
work with your espresso. It's usually a double shot.
Right.
You have your espresso, and you base everything off of that. You want that espresso shot like diluted with water, or do you want it diluted with milk, or do you want it diluted with half and half, which is called creamier?
Mm-hmm.
So usually a latte is just like an espresso shot with like milk, But then some people are like, oh, it's too much milk. Okay, if you want a cortado, which is half the milk, it's just like so
How many times a day do you hear espresso?
espresso.
That's
Not
me.
a lot actually,
That's
because
me.
almost nobody gets just espresso
Uh-huh.
out here. Usually that's like more like Italians or like Europeans. Something most people they like just like latte or like drip coffee. People love drip coffee.
Of course.
People for the most part pretty simple. It's usually us that we recommend. We're like, hey, we have a new like peach honey latte. I think that's something
I'm
you
coming
might like.
for that. I just want to let you know.
It looks
You should
so
try it.
good.
I'm gonna be
Oh.
there.
And when I design the drink with our girls, we always do it so it's not overwhelming. We only like it so like it has the hint. One thing I really don't like about coffee is when like I tried a lavender latte somewhere before, it literally tasted like essential oil.
Ooh,
You know? And
yeah.
I'm like no.
Right.
I'm like, oh, I hate lavender.
Were they doing that just for the fragrance?
No, it was like so like there's this like we make lavender latte as well. you know,
Okay.
like white chocolate lavender latte. It's really good, but we don't do it like you just taste. It's almost like you only just taste like an after.
I
You know?
gotcha.
People love it. Like I have farmers come in there who are like, they're like plowing the field. They're
Yeah.
like carrying bales of hay. Like biggest, like scruffiest guys. And
Mhm.
they're like, oh, just have my my drip or whatever. I'm like, hey,
Huh.
want to try something different?
Right.
You know? I was like, if you hate it, I don't. I'll give you like something else and stuff. Don't worry about it. I just want you to try it. And they love it. They start coming back for it. And they're like, oh, that was so interesting. It was kind of cool to try something different. So whenever we design our drinks and stuff, like we always make it with like in mind for like it has to be a good balance. Like only like a little hint here, a little hint there. Like even the honey peach latte,
Mhm.
it doesn't taste like like pure sugar or something like
Yeah.
that. It's
Right.
like it tastes like good coffee. We have really good coffee.
Well,
Like,
that
our
and
base is really good.
the picture of it too. That we saw you post it. For anybody that wants to look at that, they definitely can on her Instagram account.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Cooper's Eatery or Cooper's Coffee plus Eatery, right?
Yeah.
Now, do you take your own photos of your? Because I've looked at it, and like you just said, you're like, well, it took them 4 weeks, and now they got this beautiful design. And we dug through. We think it's.
I mean, I'm looking at this
amazing.
right now, and it is. I mean,
Yeah,
like the most professional
with
photography.
the beach rings and everything on
yeah.
there. That looks so good.
Yeah.
So
this is years of like.
just make.
But
one.
is this all out of your brain? I mean, is this your? I mean, your kind of original ideas in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to brag or anything, but
brag away?
I was gonna say, brag
Toot
on
your horn
yourself.
a little bit.
It's amazing.
no, like praise God, he kind of guides me in all of this, but like you figure out a few essential things like position your product like in good lighting, with good like neutral background, blah blah blah. Just stick to those few rules, and
Now,
you're like,
are you doing that
cool.
there? Are you taking
Yeah.
those pictures there?
It's always there. We always make it fresh there. We're
Do you
like,
do it like after the fact, like when no one's there, where you can like really like
we
make it
do
up
it
pretty?
when we have like slower times.
Yeah.
To make sure that all of us are staying busy.
Mm-hmm.
We start like coming up with new drinks and then like setting up like pictures and coming up with ideas and then like back and forth. So we usually do this together like with our employees whenever there's some downtime.
Have you taken anything from like customers yet? Like has a customer like ever like hinted at an idea and you're like, I could probably roll with that.
You know what? We have a lot of Mennonites come through there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So they kind of introduced us to maple syrup.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Sure.
So they were asking for that. I was like, I'll get that for you guys.
Exactly.
And I got
Spring or
it.
fall, yeah.
And I tried it, and I was like, oh, this is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get myself like maple syrup lattes sometimes. I'm like, hey, girls, make me one of those. Like,
Well, I like the fact that you're using like local honey.
yeah.
I mean, because that's
Yep, it's local clean. And, like, we have the most amazing honey. Like, so me and my husband, we have a farm about 5 minutes from that coffee shop, right?
Mhm.
We raise Angus beef. So that's my husband. He
Nice.
does that. So you can follow our Angus beef like 5 miles away.
awesome.
And
Oh, that's
then
amazing.
our honey is also there. We
Uh-huh.
have someone who does beekeeping for us and everything. But it's from our field. We have amazing clover. Like, we have a ton of clover on our field. Like I have fields of like wildflowers. Like I have it's like mountains of wildflowers when it's spring hits and stuff like
Mhm.
that. It's like stunning. Like Nelson, I feel like is super underrated. It's the Nelson Blackwater area, so gorgeous.
It's beautiful
like
territory.
The landscape there is just amazing. Like I'm so like I wake up every morning. I'm like I don't know what to say. We have a valley. There's a river. Fog rolls through it out like every night.
When you
every
can watch a
morning.
Missouri sunrise,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's different.
Yeah.
It hits
And
different.
those
It's
country,
gorgeous.
I think
It
country
is.
night too, when you can see like a full night of
Oh,
stars.
yeah.
Oh my gosh,
I was.
that's like when you stop.
Yeah.
everything.
Lightning bugs. It's
I-
like, oh.
I can remember
Yeah.
in high
You know.
school we'd go on gravel roads and we would just go park somewhere, get out, look at the lightning bugs,
Yeah.
look
Oh,
at the
cool.
stars, and then I traveled a lot in my early 20s to mid 20s, and I'd always end up in these cities because of the military and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And even I hate to say it, but even in Sedalia, you'll be sitting there and you look up, and you go, oh, I can see some stars. It's nothing. It's like when
Yeah.
you get out in the country
Yeah.
and all the access light is gone, and it's maybe like a 3/4 moon or full moon, you're just
Yeah.
like, wow.
it's stunning. I will take my 2-year-old son outside when it's like a clear night. Take him outside, even if it's cold, whatever. Like it's messing up a little bit, and I'm like, look,
hmm Exactly.
look at that. You can see the galaxy, know,
Right.
outside. It's like stunning. But the point is like our bees, they're all over there, so they're producing their honey from that.
Exactly.
Like, and it's just like, I mean, I've
That's
tried honey.
wholesome.
I've
That's-
tried honey from California, all these other places. I'm like, I can't anymore. The only honey I can have is the one that we have.
well, and that's the thing
that's what we
too.
put in our coffee.
Right. And
Yeah.
what's so nice about that is because, of course, all the pollen that the bees are getting is local, right there
Yep.
at home.
So
You-
for your immune system,
That's
what
it.
can it be better?
Exactly, people. That's what we try to say. That's why
So
I
if
was
you need
like,
a little immune boost,
that's what I was saying. It's
come
like
on over.
with the local honey, I'm like coming into spring. It's like people.
Oh, I'll need it.
It's like you're gonna need it. It's like
My allergies are so bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
Hey, and don't ever underestimate the power of those things.
Oh,
No,
I believe
no.
it. You know how
Like-
many people have told me just that in general, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, now if I know the sorts, forget it.
Yeah.
Because that's
yeah,
the tricky part. They're like, just get some local honey, and I'm like,
yeah.
okay, but
Where-
where's the local honey?
And how do you know it's truly?
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
why I I want to do completely farm to table, but only in my community. Because a lot of times I find out about like we have organic or whatever.
Mm.
They're like, well, tell me a little bit more about it. I'm like, that's not organic.
Exactly.
Not my definition of organic.
Right.
I'm like,
So with the cattle that your husband does, or the Angus, are you able to utilize any of it for your business?
yeah, that's the cattle that we use.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yep.
That's
So
beautiful. Yeah.
they're grass fed. We're very like natural people in
Mhm.
general. So there's a few think like prophylactic things that you have to do. So we have a farmer who helps us with that, just to manage the cow's health,
Mhm.
overall. Um, so besides that, there's nothing else that we do. They eat our grass on the field. So we have almost 400 acres, and we just rotate the fields that
Mhm.
they select.
Wow.
Like a few months here, we put them all in another section.
Mhm.
That grass rejuvenates, blah blah blah. So that's what they're feeding off, and then once we get close to butchering time or whatever, we separate a few steers and for an age that you're looking for, blah blah blah, and then we have them like closer to us, and then from there we take them to the Mennonites, you know, uh, and then from there they go to our cafe.
We
And-
preach on this over and over. It's just everything he says, like people helping people.
Yeah.
You're using local. You're utilizing other local businesses.
Yeah.
And I mean, from the sounds of it, it's like for anybody in Sedalia that hasn't been there, it just sounds like a hidden gem.
Oh,
it really
yeah.
does. It just sounds
Yeah.
like just amazing.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that I will be passionate about for the rest of my life. If I can run a business like that, my passion will never run out. Like where you're full circle. You're providing quality. Like I mean, you take a tomato that's organic from like a little gardener versus like a Walmart tomato. Taste wise, huge difference.
Oh,
yeah.
It's
You know what I
it's
mean?
night and day.
Yeah.
Yes.
So quality wise, like taste wise, much better, right? But then also if you're like, buying from this little gardener or lady or whatever, like this guy who does sheep or something like that, it's a little boost for them,
Mhm. Yeah.
And then they're also proud of it too. They're like, oh, that's my product.
And
Yeah,
now they want to
exactly.
improve their product too.
Yeah,
Well, yeah. I mean, because it has to
So-
be nice, especially like even for yourself having your own, Angus
Yeah.
on your menu. It's nice to know that,
Yeah.
and especially when you have other people that might help and stuff like that, they can come there and be like,
Yeah,
"That's for me."
like we know exactly where that comes from,
exactly.
how that's made.
Yeah.
Like you could go all the way back.
Right.
So yeah, hopefully we can get to the point to where we can forge all those relationships in the future.
Yeah.
And do completely farm to table.
Well, I mean, and
That's
that's
our
the thing.
ultimate goal.
And
Yeah.
it's for sure gonna happen. I promise. I mean, look how much it's done, and it's brand
Just
new.
now.
I mean,
Yeah.
We've
it's
only been open 2 months.
that's what I mean. It's brand new. It's a baby,
Yeah, it is a baby.
but it's growing fast. Isn't that awesome?
And that's why
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
happy to have you. We want to push people with good causes, good businesses
Yeah.
that are going to help the community, and we just admire the ambition.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, we're in it. I can say this honestly. We did not open this business with in mind, making as much money as possible and whatnot. Honestly, food industry is not that
Yeah.
lucrative.
Yeah.
you
Just
could say.
gonna say lucrative. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But what really inspires me and what really motivates me and like energizes me is the fact of the community. When I was thinking about my business plan and everything, and I started thinking, I'm like, oh, I can maybe meet local farmers, local business owners, like spotlight them at my cafe, maybe do like little interviews with them, use their product. I got excited.
Right.
I got excited, and I was like, this is the coolest. Like, I will cry if I can achieve this one day, where we have like a fully sustained place where the community can come together. People are seeing their products there,
Mhm.
and I'm just kind of like the facilitator. Who knows if it'll be super profitable or not? I don't know. We'll see. But just to provide something like that for people,
Yes.
I feel like that's just like, for me. There's better. Like I love people, and I feel like in life that's what really gives people meaning, and depth. Those kinds of things can fuel a human being. Like you can be handicapped, or you can be have huge issues in your life. You can have loss and hurt and death or anything, But if you have good people around you and you have a community and you have like relationships, like you can get,
Oh, it only makes you stronger.
you know what I mean?
You know, exactly.
Like it doesn't matter like war or peace,
Yeah.
but if you have good people in your life and you have like relationships and all that, like people like,
Well,
are unstoppable.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
it's forgotten
That's what it's all
morals
about.
too. You know, it's just like that. You said it best. A community. It takes I love the idea. It takes a community to raise a child.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those where even in our town, originally in Tipton, it's like there was a local eatery there, and the guy that was running it, well, he had some issues where he ended up getting deported. The town came together and they're like, no, absolutely not. It's like he's part of our community. He's a provider here.
Yeah.
He has a business. There's no reason for that. They sponsored all the money for it and got him back.
Really?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
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 That was when we were in high
Wow.
school. They
Yeah.
said absolutely not.
Wow,
You know, because
that's
his kids
amazing.
came to our school, and it was one of those. It's like the community would not let him go away. Like
Yeah.
that is not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's like we would have fought
Like
tooth
how
over
cool
now.
is that?
That's
I
an
feel like
amazing thing.
These days, people are just getting further and further from each other. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Everyone's getting isolated and just doing their own things, stuff like that, like leave me alone and all
Right.
that, you know? And I'm just like, that's why there's so much suicide, so much depression, anxiety.
Yes.
You know, people need to come together.
Yeah.
People need to like work together. They need to like build relationships, build community. Those are the pillars of any person's life. You cannot live without those pillars. You know, so that's just like I feel like you know I feel passionate about that, and I'm sure a lot of people out there feel the same. You know,
Oh, for sure. And you know, and like that, like talking about the community, and you know, it feels like a family because it's such a
Yeah.
small world.
Yep.
I mean, when you really think of just how little Central Missouri is, I mean, you could
I
almost
know.
call it a family. And then, like you know, like he was saying, it's like how it takes a community to like raise a kid and things like that. And it's like a business. I mean, you could say that even for a business because, like,
Yep.
I keep even like talking about your business. I'm like, well, it's a baby, but we're watching it grow
Yep.
as a community, as
Yeah.
a little family. We're watching it grow and prosper. And it's like we only want to see things succeed because
Yeah.
it helps everyone.
Yep.
You know, it's like that's what we all need. It's like people helping people. It's like
Yep.
let's make our community strong. Let's make it a positive place that people want to go and visit and see and check out, you know,
Yeah.
and like and kind of like we always say on here too, it's like also kind of be self-sustaining to where we don't have to rely on too
Yeah.
much, where
Big
we can
corporate guys.
yeah,
Yep,
it's like
yep.
we can keep it close and local, you know,
Yep.
and
Yep.
keep everybody happy.
And it's better quality too.
Exactly.
You know.
You know, and with
Yeah.
and with that being like such a big deal nowadays, like we were talking earlier about how bad the food is,
Yep.
with
Yep.
having good, you know, products like that right there available, you know, for with their coffee. It's like, well, that's
Yep.
incredible. You know, how many people? I mean, how many people don't get that? Because
Yep.
what's the main thing? It's like, well, you think, oh, it's like I get a coffee and a donut.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
What's a healthier alternative?
Yep.
You
Yep.
know,
More wholesome.
exactly.
Something like even for travelers, I always think like, you eat a good meal, you can probably drive another you can go further too,
Right.
just, like physically,
Yeah.
like when I was working 14-hour shifts as a nurse, if I ate a good meal, I could go like further. I can go 6 and 8 pounds, pretty decent. But if I ate like something like kind
Processed.
processed and
Yeah.
like cheap or whatever, like not necessarily like cheap is bad, but like something processed and like junk food kind of situation. And I was tired in like 4 hours,
Oh, yeah.
2-3 hours. I'm like, I wish I could just take a nap right now,
Mm-hmm.
But when I eat something good, like good quality, obviously you want it to taste good too. Man, I was like, give me another patient. you know?
Yeah.
Like bring it on. Like let me go figure this out, guys. Like let me take care of this. And I'm like, that's the difference between a good meal and a bad meal. It's like how does it fuel you?
Mhm.
So
But it also, and just that right there, but it also shows the difference on like business strategy as well. Because like that, you look a lot into it. You're looking farther into it, and it's one of those where it's
Yeah.
like you're thinking of the bigger picture on that aspect, and you can see
Yeah.
that just by how you explain a sandwich,
The passion.
the passion that you have behind it, the thought process into it. It's like that.
Yeah.
That's what's fascinating,
yeah, we're not just like chicken
right?
and cheese.
Yeah, it's like it's got to make sense.
And
you know?
anybody listening to this, I'm sure they have picked up on that passion. first off, I just want to say thank you again so much
it's
for
been
coming
amazing.
on.
No, thanks for having me.
This has been great. For anybody wondering, I do have your Instagram pulled up. It's Cooper's Coffee _Eatery.
Yep.
Go check this out, and your website is in the bio of that, so you can even look online at a lot of her products. But check out that Instagram, and like I said, we're gonna put the website in the video on the link in our bio as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and then I also cross over to Facebook, just Cooper's Coffee plus Eatery Facebook.
Okay.
So it's all, you'll find it on my website. It's on
Okay.
the Instagram, so it's all connected.
Is there a number to the coffee shop?
A phone number?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's 573-486-345.
There you go, guys. You
Yeah.
heard it from the boss herself.
well, I love it. I love the fact that you're passionate. I'm loving that that it's amazing that hopefully we can help. I really hope that. I hope that people watching this will go to your place. I know we're going to. We're just excited to have somebody like you on the show that's just out there making a difference, not just for themselves, but for the community.
Yeah.
And,
Well, with the things I've seen online, I may never leave. That's not a good thing.
That's okay.
Yeah, exactly. May have to put me to work. No, but that is amazing. And kudos on your photography too. By the
Thank
way,
you so
people
much.
go check that out. It is absolutely amazing. I mean, it's as professional as you can get. Looks amazing.
Wow, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
anything else on your side?
I think we're good, my man.
Any
Like,
last minute things you want to say? Any shout outs or anything like that?
Shout out to my team, my
Ah, there you go.
employees
Hey.
who are
Hey,
just,
all right, all right.
Yeah.
working hard, making it happen.
Yep.
And anyone who's helped me along the way, I can't say I did it myself. That'd be a lie. Everyone, my husband, my dad, my brothers, sisters, my friends, family, whoever helped with anything. I'm forever grateful. And going forward, it's always a team.
Beautiful
I'm not doing
message.
anything on
Yep.
myself.
Beautiful
I'm not
message.
doing anything by myself. It's always, you look around, you're like, I have a whole team. There's people next to me everywhere.
exactly.
So that's a huge blessing.
And that's awesome.
really
That's people helping
Yeah.
people, and
Like
it-
right now, we're
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not what
So-
you know, but who you know.
Exactly, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, all right. Well, I guess we're going to send it home. We
All
want to
right.
thank everybody for listening. If you like this episode, please like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Check out her business as well.
Leave a comment.
That's
Hit the subscribe button.
what we
Yeah.
need. That's what we need. All right. We're going to send it home the same way we always do. We're going to point it at the camera. Let's go.
Thanks, everybody. All right.
Who are you?